Most women believe intimacy fades after 50 because of hormones aging or the changes that come with menopause. But let me tell you something that may completely shift the way you see connection at this stage of life. The deepest sparks of desire in a woman over 50 almost never begin in the bedroom. They begin in the quietest parts of her body. Hidden places many partners overlook for decades. Places that were never taught in any romance book and rarely discussed openly. Yet when touched with patience, they can awaken emotional closeness and physical warmth in ways that surprise even couples who thought passion was long gone. And here is the part most people get wrong. These places are not the obvious ones. They are not the glamorous places society talks about. They are not the spots younger couples rush toward. In fact, they are the exact opposite. They are subtle, gentle, easy to miss. But when approached the right way, they open a woman's heart faster than anything that happens under the sheets. I have spent more than 30 years caring for women in their 50s, 60s, and 70s across the United States. Women who sit in my office and speak honestly about what makes them feel cherished, safe, confident, and deeply connected to their partners. And again, I hear the same truth. Intimacy after 50 thrives not on intensity, but on presence. Not on speed, but on attention. Not on performance, but on emotional safety. And that safety begins with simple gestures. A single kiss placed in the right spot can calm her nervous system, slow her breathing, soften her shoulders, and awaken parts of her she thought had gone quiet. These kisses are not about pressure. They are not about trying to impress her. They are about giving her a message she may not have heard in years. You matter. You are seen. You are still deeply desirable. Before we go deeper, let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Lisa Perriera, a board-certified gynecologist with more than 3 decades of experience helping women navigate menopause hormonal shifts, confidence changes, circulation challenges, and the emotional side of intimacy. I have listened to thousands of women speak with honesty about what truly moves them, and I am here to guide you with care clarity and real medical understanding. And here is what I want you to know right now. A single gentle kiss in the right place wakes up parts of the brain connected to trust memory, emotional bonding, and warmth. These are not tricks. They are rooted in neurobiology. The limbic system, where emotional connection lives, responds powerfully to specific kinds of touch. And when a woman over 50 feels safe and emotionally held, her desire returns naturally. Not forced, not rushed, but awakened. In this video, I am going to show you 5 doctor-backed, emotionally intelligent kissing spots that quietly spark connection, closeness, and warmth in women over 50. You may have never considered these places before, but once you do, intimacy will begin to feel softer, calmer, and far more natural between you. And at the end, I will share a single gesture no one talks about. It does not involve kissing at all, yet it melts tension and brings a level of closeness that many couples say they have never experienced before. It is simple, it is grounding, and it works almost immediately. Before we begin, tell me something in the comments. Where are you watching from today? I love seeing how many of you from across the United States, Canada, Europe, Australia, and around the world are joining these conversations. It helps me know the kind of guidance you need, and it helps build a community of people reconnecting with intimacy in a healthy, mature way. Now take a breath with me, because the first place we are starting with is small, subtle, almost hidden. And yet when kissed with patience, it has the power to change everything. The first place I want to bring you to is a quiet, gentle spot most people overlook completely. It is not flashy. It is not dramatic. But women over 50 often describe it as the place where trust begins. I am talking about the tender nape of her neck, that soft curve just beneath the hairline. So many women in their 50s, 60s, and 70s have sat across from me and told me something remarkable. A single slow kiss on the back of their neck can stay with them for days. Not because it is intense, but because it feels personal. It feels like being chosen with intention, not urgency. When you approach this area, do it slowly. Move her hair aside gently, not with pressure or expectation. Pause for just a moment so she feels your presence behind her. Let your breath touch her skin before your lips do. That quiet moment tells her everything. It tells her she is cherished. It tells her she is safe. It tells her she still matters, just as she is today, not as she was years ago. From a medical perspective, the nape of the neck connects to nerve pathways tied deeply to the limbic system. That is the emotional center of the brain, the place where memory, bonding, and trust live. When your lips touch that sensitive skin, you activate emotions far beyond physical sensation. Many women describe it as a warm wave, moving through their chest and shoulders, softening the tension they carry almost like something inside them exhales. And here is what makes this even more meaningful for women over 50. Many have lived years being caregivers, carrying stress or navigating the changes of aging that sometimes make them feel invisible. A kiss there is not about possession. It is about devotion. It is a reminder that she is still seen, still valued, still worthy of tenderness. Now let's move to a place even more subtle and just as powerful. The small, quiet space just behind her ear. It is one of the most emotionally sensitive places on a woman's body, yet most partners never think to kiss it. Women often tell me this spot holds memories of whispered secrets, soft laughter, quiet intimacy, the kind of closeness that feels private and personal. When you kiss behind her ear, you step into that private world, a world she does not share with just anyone. There is also a biological reason this area matters. Light touch behind the ear stimulates nerve pathways linked to oxytocin, release the hormone of bonding and emotional warmth. That is why many women describe getting a soft shiver or feeling their whole body relax when someone they trust kisses them gently there. The mistake some partners make is moving too fast or too intensely. But the magic of this place lies in softness. A slow kiss, a gentle breath, maybe a quiet word said near her ear, these create a calm warmth inside her that is unforgettable. Now let's go even smaller, even quieter. The delicate inner wrist. It may seem like an unusual place to kiss, but the inside of her wrist connects directly to emotional awareness in the brain. The skin is thin and sensitive, the pulse just beneath the surface, and when kissed with intention, it creates a moment that feels almost sacred. Women in their 60s and 70s have told me that a kiss on the wrist made them feel more seen than any grand romantic gesture. It is not about passion. It is about presence. Here is why. The inner wrist holds sensitive nerve endings that communicate directly with the parts of the brain responsible for empathy and connection. When you lift her hand gently and kiss that area, it gives her a message that goes deeper than physical attraction. It tells her you notice the small details. It tells her you appreciate her. And for many women at this stage of life, being noticed, truly noticed, is one of the deepest forms of intimacy. The next spot sits closer to her heart, both physically and symbolically. The gentle hollow where her collarbone meets her chest. This place carries a quiet elegance, and many women describe a kiss there as feeling like reverence. When you bow your head slightly and place your lips softly in that space, it does something subtle but powerful. It tells her she is treasured, not for her appearance, but for who she is. The collarbone is sensitive to gentle touch, and a soft kiss there can send a warm ripple through her body that feels grounding and deeply intimate. And finally, the place almost no one thinks about, the delicate inside of her elbow. It might seem strange at first, but the skin there is surprisingly sensitive. Women often tell me that a kiss in that spot feels unexpected in the best possible way. It is gentle, quiet, and deeply personal. It communicates that you see every part of her, not just the ones society puts attention on. And when you take your time with this spot, you give her a kind of intimacy that feels uniquely hers. These 5 places work together not because they are bold or dramatic, but because they touch the emotional centers of her brain. They activate calm. They release oxytocin. They make her feel safe enough to soften. For women over 50, that emotional safety is often the key that unlocks desire. When she feels noticed, she opens. When she feels cherished, she leans in. And when she feels safe, everything else in intimacy becomes easier, warmer, and far more natural. In the next section, we'll move from these subtle spots into something even more powerful, a gesture that doesn't require kissing at all, yet melts tension and deepens closeness almost instantly. This one simple act has transformed relationships for many of the women I care for. Let's explore why it matters so much. There is a reason the next gesture deserves its own section. It has nothing to do with lips intensity or trying to spark passion quickly. In fact, it is one of the quietest forms of intimacy I've ever seen. Yet over the years, I have heard hundreds of women tell me the same thing. This one simple touch made them feel safe, supported, and deeply connected in a way they had not felt in decades. I am talking about the gentle placement of your hand on the lower part of her back. Now, you might think this sounds too simple to matter, but you would be amazed by what happens inside a woman's body and mind when she feels a steady, warm hand resting there with intention. It is one of the few gestures that speaks directly to her nervous system. Women carry so much responsibility through life, caring for parents, raising children, supporting partners, holding families together, often putting themselves last for years or even decades. All of that emotional weight settles in the muscles of the lower back. It is a place where tension hides quietly. So when your hand rests there gently, not to push, not to control, not to direct, but simply to support something inside her softens, she feels grounded, she feels seen, she feels held. A woman in her early 60s once told me about a moment that changed how she saw her marriage. She and her husband were walking through a crowded farmer's market on a Saturday morning. She felt anxious because the crowd was tight, the noise was loud, and she worried about losing her footing. Then she felt it. His hand resting gently on the small of her back. No words, no pressure, no urgency, just presence. She told me, "Lisa, in that moment I felt safe. I knew he was with me. It was the first time in years that I didn't feel invisible." That is the power of this gesture. It is not dramatic. It is grounding. Medically, there is a reason this spot works the way it does. The lower back connects closely to the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the body that helps regulate stress and bring calm. When a gentle hand rests there, the body tends to shift into its safe mode. Heart rate slows a little. Breathing deepens, muscles ease, and emotional barriers begin to melt. For women over 50, especially those living with stress anxiety, past emotional wounds, or even simple daily fatigue, this sense of calm is priceless. When she feels supported physically, her mind becomes open emotionally. Intimacy feels natural again, rather than pressured or rushed. This gesture is also powerful because of what it symbolizes. When a man places his hand on a woman's lower back in a gentle, steady way, it communicates something she longs to hear, but may never say out loud. You do not have to carry everything alone anymore. I am here with you. I am steady. I am present. And here is the part many men miss. Women do not want to be controlled, but they deeply appreciate feeling supported. There is a difference. Control pushes, support steadies. Control demands, support reassures. Control overwhelms, support grounds. The lower back gesture embodies support in its purest form. It works in everyday moments too, when guiding her through a doorway, when waiting in line together, when helping her step off a curb, when standing beside her in the kitchen, or while waiting for the kettle to boil, or even while watching a quiet movie on the couch. A soft hand resting there reminds her that intimacy is not limited to special occasions. It lives in the smallest daily signals. And here is why this matters. Many women over 50 tell me they don't necessarily want more romance. They want more connection. They want reassurance. They want to feel visible again. They want to feel that they still matter outside of routines, expectations, and responsibilities. This gesture gives them exactly that. When your hand is steady on her lower back, she subconsciously leans toward you. Her body trusts you. Her breathing changes. And her heart opens. Not because she is trying to be romantic, but because she feels safe enough to be herself. Now imagine what happens when you combine this grounding gesture with the subtle emotional kissing spots we covered earlier. The trust from the neck, the warmth behind the ear, the connection from the wrist, the reverence from the collarbone, the tenderness from the elbow. Everything begins to build slowly, naturally, in a way that supports emotional closeness first and physical closeness second. And at this stage of life, that order often matters much more than people realize. In the next section, I want to share with you a story, a real story from a woman who walked into my office believing intimacy was over for her. She thought aging had closed the door on connection. But what happened next changed both her relationship and her sense of self. Let's look at the transformation that unfolded when small gestures were used with intention, consistency, and care. I want to share a story with you now, a story that stayed with me for years because it reminded me of something essential. Intimacy after 50 is not something people lose. It is something that slowly drifts when no one is paying attention. And just as quietly, it can return when the right kind of attention shows up again. A woman named Margaret came to see me a few years ago. She was 67 at the time, living in Ohio, married for more than 40 years. She sat down in my office with her shoulders slightly tense, the way many women her age do when they talk about intimacy. She looked at me and said, "Lisa, I think that part of my life is gone. I don't feel desired. I don't feel beautiful. And I honestly don't feel connected to my husband the way I used to." Nothing dramatic had happened. No betrayal. No shouting. No deep conflict. Just decades of routines, caregiving health worries, financial stress, and the silent pressure of aging that slowly pushed intimacy to the background. She told me her husband was kind, he was reliable. But she felt invisible. Not intentionally neglected, but quietly overlooked. Then she said something that I will never forget. "I'm not asking for fireworks. I just want to feel like he sees me again." I asked her to tell me about the moments in her life when she felt most connected to her husband. She closed her eyes for a moment and smiled softly. "It wasn't the big romantic nights," she said. "It was the small things. The way he brushed my hair aside when we were younger. The way he used to guide me through a door with his hand on my back. The way he kissed my wrist at our wedding when he thought no one saw. Small gestures. Quiet moments. The things life often buries under bills, work, aging, and responsibilities." I suggested something simple. Instead of trying to fix intimacy all at once, start with those little gestures again. Not every day. Not with a goal. Not with pressure. Just small, intentional moments of presence. A few months later, she came back to my office transformed. Her face looked lighter, her shoulders more relaxed, her voice more alive. She said, "Lisa, something changed. It's like we found each other again. Not in the way we did when we were young, in a softer, wiser way. I asked her what changed. Was it communication? Was it more time together? Was it a big conversation? She said no. It was a moment in the kitchen on a quiet Sunday morning. She was washing vegetables at the sink. Her husband walked behind her, placed his hand gently on the small of her back, and kissed the back of her neck with the slow tenderness she remembered from years ago. No expectations, no urgency, just presence. She said she felt something inside her open, like a window letting fresh air in. He didn't say anything, she told me. But in that moment, I knew he still loved me. And I softened. Everything softened. From that day on, intimacy slowly returned. Not in a dramatic burst, but in gentle ripples. A kiss behind the ear while watching TV. A soft kiss on her wrist while holding hands. A moment where he pressed his forehead to hers before bed. She said it felt like rediscovering each other one quiet moment at a time. This is the truth I want you to carry with you. Intimacy after 50 is not about performance. It is not about energy levels. It is not about trying to recreate youth. It is about making her feel safe enough to open again. Every gesture you give her, the slow kiss on the neck, the warm kiss behind the ear, the reverent kiss on the collarbone, the unexpected kiss on the wrist, the grounding hand on her lower back. Each one speaks a language that reaches her heart more clearly than any words ever could. These are not tricks. These are reminders, gentle reminders of the connection she may have been missing, longing for, or quietly grieving. And when she feels seen, she blossoms. When she feels chosen, she softens. When she feels cherished, desire naturally returns, because it is rooted in safety, not pressure. In the next and final part, I want to bring all of this together. The meaning behind each gesture, how they work together, and the deeper truth about intimacy most couples forget as they grow older. Let's tie it all into a message that can reshape your relationship from the inside out. When you look at all these moments together, a clearer picture begins to emerge. Intimacy after 50 is not something that depends on passion alone. It is built on presence, on patience, on small gestures that remind her she is valued, not just loved in a general sense, but valued in the quiet personal ways that matter most to a woman at this stage of her life. Each spot we talked about carries its own emotional meaning. The nape of her neck is where trust lives. A slow kiss there tells her she can let her guard down. It tells her she is safe in your presence. Just behind her ear is where belonging settles. A gentle kiss in that spot awakens memories of whispered closeness and reminds her she is chosen not out of habit, but out of desire. The inner wrist is where her essence rests close to the surface. A kiss there says, "I notice you. I appreciate your softness, your patience, your strength." The hollow of her collarbone is a place of reverence. It speaks to her heart more than her body, telling her she is cherished for who she truly is, not just how she looks. The delicate inside of her elbow is a place of tenderness, often overlooked, yet deeply sensitive. A kiss there tells her you see every part of her, even the parts she forgets to honor herself. And your hand on her lower back, that simple, steady gesture, brings everything together. It offers grounding. It offers reassurance. It is the physical version of saying, "I am here with you. You do not walk through life alone." These gestures might seem small when you look at them individually, but together they form a foundation of emotional safety. And for a woman over 50, emotional safety is often the spark that reignites desire more powerfully than anything else. You see, intimacy at this stage of life is not about recreating youth. It is about deepening connection. It is about slowing down long enough for her nervous system to relax, her heart to open, and her mind to trust that she is still desired, still beautiful, still worthy of tenderness. And when a woman feels that way, her energy changes. Her presence changes. The way she looks at you changes. Desire becomes something natural, not forced. Something warm, not pressured. Something shared, not demanded. I have watched couples in their 50s, 60s, and even their 70s transform their relationships with nothing more than consistent, intentional, gentle gestures. Not dramatic moves, not complicated steps, just thoughtfulness, just presence. And here is the most hopeful part. Every couple can experience this. Every woman can feel this again. Every man can offer this kind of intimacy. All it takes is slowing down and choosing connection over hurry. If this message touched you in any way, I would be grateful if you liked this video and shared it with someone who may need it. And I would love to hear your thoughts. Which gesture resonated with you most? Which moment reminded you of something meaningful in your own life? Your comments help me understand how to guide you better in the future. And before we close, let me remind you, this video is for educational purposes only. It does not replace medical advice. Every woman's body is unique. If you are experiencing pain, significant changes, or have personal concerns, please consult with your healthcare provider. Your well-being deserves personalized care. Thank you for spending this time with me. And wherever you are watching from across the United States or around the world, remember this intimacy after 50 is not fading. It is simply evolving. And with presence and patience, it can become more meaningful than ever.